From its origins in China, gunpowder spread via the trade routes and became a powerful source of change between 1450 and 1750. The Qin Empire of China also expanded, and though it experienced several invasions, it also prospered during long periods of stability. Europe's expansion involved an even wider exchange network than that which spread gunpowder, transoceanic connections with the Americas. Armed trade was common in expanding empires during this period. The different empires traded with one another. However, they kept troops and armaments at the ready in case another empire questioned their right to trade. This type of exchange differed from the free markets of later periods. The year 1450 has traditionally signified the ending of the medieval period and the beginning of the early modern period. The mid-1400s saw the end of a wave of plagues, the conclusion of the Hundred Years' War between France and England, and the invention of the Gutenberg printing press, followed by an increase in literacy. After the slow political and economic development of the Middle Ages, several countries in Europe were becoming powerful, wealthy nations. New monarchies began to launch overseas explorations and establish colonies around the world. The nature of the new monarchies in Europe in the 1500s was the result of the desire of certain leaders to centralize power by controlling taxes, the army, and many aspects of religion. These new monarchs included the Tudors in England, the Valois in France, and Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand in Spain. In each area, bureaucracies increased and the power of the middle class grew at the expense of lords and the church. For example, the new monarchies moved to curb the private armies of the nobility. Western Europeans were long unsure what to think of Russia. Was Russia more European in its outlook and character, or was it more Asian? Russia was in a pivotal position for trade. It was able to exchange goods and services with other cultures further east and west. However, Russia remained tightly linked to Europe. Its capital, whether Kiev, St. Petersburg, or Moscow, was located in Europe. Although a product of Mongol influence from Central Asia to the east, Russia was also a product of Europe as a result of Viking invasions and trading. When Ivan IV, called Ivan the Terrible, was crowned Tsar in 1547, he immediately set about to expand the Russian border eastward, first by taking control of the Khanates of Kazan and Astrakhan and Siberia, held by the descendants of the Golden Horde, the Mongolian conquerors. This expansion came to rely more and more upon the use of gunpowder. Wanting to expand east to control the fur trade, Ivan IV allowed the Stroganovs, major Russian landowners, to hire bands of fierce peasant warriors known as the Cossacks to fight the local tribes and the Siberian Khan. The Stroganovs' forces were successful, gaining control of the Volga River, which flows into the Caspian Sea. Possessing this outlet to the sea, Moscow could trade directly with Persia and the Ottoman Empire without having to deal with the strong forces of the Crimean Tatars. Russia continued moving east into Siberia after the reign of Ivan IV. Fur traders and militias defeated one indigenous tribe after another. Missionaries followed, converting many to Eastern Orthodox faith, although the local shamans or religious leaders continued to have influence. By 1639, the Russians had advanced east as far as the Pacific Ocean. Exploration and fur trading expeditions continued across the Pacific to Alaska in 1741 and down the coast of North America to California in 1814. China's Yuan dynasty, founded by the Mongol invader Kublai Khan in 1271, was overthrown by the Ming dynasty in 1368 after less than a century in power. Ming rulers managed to stabilize the East Asian region for nearly 300 years. During the Ming dynasty, the Portuguese and other Europeans arrived, aiming to encroach on the Asian trade network. Then in 1644, the powerful Manchu from neighboring Manchuria seized power and established the Qing dynasty, which ruled until 1911. During both of these dynasties, Japan and Korea experienced parallel developments, but with unique aspects. The Ming dynasty also expanded the size of China, conquering lands in Mongolia and Central Asia. It did not hold them for long, however. In the 1440s, Mongol armies defeated Ming forces and even took the Ming emperor prisoner. In reaction to renewed Mongol power, China's leaders looked to the Great Wall of China for protection. The wall had not been maintained under Mongol rule, but under the Ming dynasty, it was restored and expanded to help keep out invaders from the north. One of China's longest reigning emperors, Kangxi, presided over a period of stability and expansion during the Qing dynasty in China. Kangxi sent forces into Taiwan, Mongolia, and Central Asia, incorporating those areas into the empire. China also imposed a protectorate over Tibet, the mountainous land north of India, a policy reflected in China's control of the region today. Another important Qin ruler was Emperor Qianlong, a poet who was also knowledgeable in art and calligraphy. At the beginning of his reign, the country was well ran, and the government tax collections were at an all-time high. Qianlong initiated military campaigns in lands west of China, which led to the annexation of Tianjin, accompanied by the mass killings of the local population. Even today, parts of this area remain troubled. The local Muslim population, called the Uyghurs, has never fully been incorporated into the rest of Chinese culture. Qianlong also sent armies into Tibet to install the Dalai Lama on the throne there. A campaign against the Nepalese was successful, forcing them to submit to Chinese rule. However, campaigns against Burma and Vietnam were unsuccessful and costly, resulting in the emptying of the empire's treasury. Needing funds, the Qin dynasty sold limited trading privileges to the European powers, but confined them to Hangzhou, also known as Canton. The British were not satisfied with these limited privileges, so they asked for more trading rights in 1793. Emperor Qianlong responded with a letter to King George III stating that the Chinese had no need for British manufactured goods. During the latter part of Qianlong's reign, the traditionally efficient Chinese bureaucracy became corrupt, levying high taxes on the people. In response to these high taxes and a desire to restore the Ming dynasty, a group of peasants organized the White Lotus Rebellion. This lasted from 1796 to 1804. The Qin government suppressed the uprising brutally, killing around 100,000 peasants.